Shalum, Shalum and welcome. Welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah, and these are the words I'm compelled to present before the awakening set-apart nation. To those who are drawn by the Almighty Father Yahuah to Yahusha, as it is written in John 6:44. My brothers, end times are no doubt here. Soon we will discover we are either in the tribulation or it's about to start. I'm not trying to establish that timing other than the fact that we are in the latter days, the end of days. There are some promises that the Almighty Father has made to Yashar'al, promises that will be kept. Three major promises are discipline, vengeance, and wrath. Another promise that he made is that he will gather his children from the four corners of the earth before the physical return of Yahusha. And Isaiah 43 say those that he created for his esteem. It didn't say everyone. And when it say no one is left behind, there will be people that will die as martyrs, but they will be asleep. So there are certain scriptures that you need to be mindful of, because there are people that want to give you a false sense of security to think that every set-apart child of Yahuah will be gathered before the physical return of Yahusha. Now, those who don't believe before the physical return, they look at the gathering happening when he returned. This message isn't for you. You will miss out because of unbelief. But before I go any further in this segment, I want to say that the views expressed, the messages that I present, do not reflect the owners, managers, shareholders, and or sponsors of this media platform. With that said, let's get started. The final Exodus, countdown 2023. It is my belief that sometime during the month of Gregorian month known as December, around the 21st, December 21st, all doubt will be removed. Most doubt will be removed regarding our final Exodus. This requires a lot of work and a lot of movement. Pray and watch. And for those of you who are looking at this for the first time, I have up here Yahuah representing the beginning and the end. The Almighty Father who is spirit everywhere at all times, who manifests his word before us as Yahusha, who manifests his spirit in the name of Yahusha, as it is written in John 14:26. My brothers and sisters, so many people think they're playing it safe by saying Yah this and Yah this, and I'm just not going to argue over the Mashiach's name and so forth. Where's the iron sharpening iron? Where's the encouragement? Where is the pursuit to discern how the Almighty Father desires us to call out to him? Are we not aware no man can come to the Father except through the Son, except through his word? How can you communicate with somebody without some type of words? Whether it be gestures, or whether it be sound, or whether it be written. Yahuah have an awesome voice, and he chose to manifest the voice that we would be able to comprehend in the name of Yahusha. So when we say Yahusha, we're recognizing the word of Yahuah speaking to us, through us, one towards another. In this segment, I want to talk about love, life, and death. Now, due to our comprehension and literary skills, the way we read things will vary. Some may take this as I'm saying love, life, and death, because that's what it reads. And they'll say, well, that's what it reads. But I'm presenting this as in talking about love, talking about life, talking about death. But make no mistake, our comprehension skills are going to say, no, he might say that. See, one of the things about the text, my brothers and sisters, unless we are aware of the intent of the author, we may read something incorrectly and therefore could be subject to violate one of the commandments, such as bearing a false witness against a brother or a sister. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, trying times are before us. And soon and very soon, we will recognize what must be done, what will be done to those who will fulfill the final exodus. Come with me, O Yashar'al. I want to visit part of the Ten Commandments. And in the 6th verse, I want to emphasize the word love. Love Yahuah. But I'm going to start with verse 1. Exodus 20, verse 1 through 6. And you can read the whole chapter. But I want to read specifically verses 1 through 6. It reads, "And the Almighty One spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuah, your Almighty One, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones against my face. You do not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, which is in the earth beneath, or which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, Yahuah, your Almighty One, am a jealous all, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children, to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me, but showing loving commitments to thousands, to those who love me and guard my commands." Love, my brothers and sisters. We must understand all that represents love. Let us continue. Consider the details in Leviticus 19:18. Leviticus 19:18. I want you to listen to these words as I read them to you. "Do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuah." Love your neighbor as yourself. Now, some of us may not love ourselves because we don't understand that in order to love ourselves, we must understand all that's involved with love. What does love represent? And to understand that, we must look at the love that Yahuah, the Almighty Father, has demonstrated before us, how he sacrificed his word and sent his spirit in Yahusha's name. The love that he presented out of his patience towards us. If we understand these dynamics, we just might find ourselves discovering how to love ourselves as well as our neighbor, as we are so instructed. Yashar'al, there is no doubt end times are here. There is no doubt, my brothers and sisters. But what people aren't talking about is what actions must occur, what actions will occur, and how will they occur. We are stiff-necked people. In the midst of massive confusion of many different interpretations of the scriptures, the texts that have been tampered with by man, many of us are void of discerning what the spirit of our teacher, Yahusha, the spirit of the Almighty Father that comes to us in Yahusha's name, what is he saying to us to understand and identify his ways, his orders, his instructions, his laws, his statutes? Love, my brothers and sisters, for out of love comes life. Let me continue. Come with me, my brothers, my sisters, my family, as I read Romans 12, 1 through 5. Romans 12, 1 through 5 says, "I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, to present your bodies a living offering." Some translations say sacrifice. "Set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One, your reasonable worship." Now, I want you to know that, my brothers and sisters, Elohim is plural for mighty ones. Yahuah is one. And his word came to us in Yahusha's name, which is his word, which is him. So therefore, when I say it reads, though the text might say one thing in terms of the Almighty Father, the truth of the matter is he's one. He's not mighty ones, he's one. Thought it was time to explain that again. For some will say, he's lying, he's saying it reads this. and I don't see it. Yashar'al, we will understand the dynamics of communication and the disciplines that's required for us to speak what is true. Romans 2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. For I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly as the Almighty One has given to each a measure of belief. Now, we shouldn't think more highly of ourselves than what he has given us, taken where he's taken us. For there are times we will yield to one another and find the workings and demonstration of iron sharpening iron, him working through us, in us, one towards another. In order to do that, we must not think highly of ourselves more than what the Almighty Father has established within us. Romans 12:4 says, for we have many members in one body, but not all members do have the same function. So we, the many, are one body in Messiah, and members each one of one another. We will understand, my brothers and sisters, a great repositioning is coming. There are people in the wrong position, in the wrong place, doing the wrong things. I witnessed a brother that claimed to be in the wilderness, and he's right off the side of a rural road where the landscape, the topography is below the road, and there's a creek going right by where he called himself being in the wilderness. And then he changed and he said rural. But you see him shoveling dirt because it's so much mud. And it appears to me, and I am compelled to believe, that he did not map out what he's doing. So it's a lot of work being wasted. What he's doing, my brothers and sisters, that's not ordered by the Almighty Father. It demonstrates him being unlearned, unwise, and not seeking wise counsel. It demonstrates an attitude of doing it the way he thinks he should do it. Now you might say, well, why am I criticizing? I did send a comment to the brother to see if he would welcome some instruction. And that was 2 days ago and haven't heard from him. He may have just deleted the comment, the question. But I'm saying all this to say, my brothers and sisters, members with different functions. There are some of us understand things a little bit better than others, such as structure and organization and guidance. Each of us possess the skills that the Almighty Father have given us, and we grow in those skill sets. And we will learn how to interact with one another, how to present before one another. You see, my brothers and sisters, in order for us to grow together in unity, we must understand all the dynamics of love and how out of the dynamics of love comes life. Let's visit Proverbs chapter 4, verse 4 through 7. It reads, then he taught me and said to me, let your heart hold fast my words, guard my commands and live. Now you see, my brothers and sisters, how many of us discern when the Spirit of Yahusha is speaking to us through another, through a brother, through a sister, through a child? If we ignore him working in us, through us, one towards another, how then can we confirm that we are temples of the Almighty Father? How then can we say we believe the scriptures when we ignore that he will speak through us one towards another? He will provide leaders, counselors, and guidance, and people with specific skill sets that's necessary for the coming together of a set apart, awakening nation. Let me go on. Proverbs 5 through 7. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget and do not turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not leave her. Let her guard you. Love her and let her watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is get wisdom, and with all your getting, get understanding. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, getting understanding. You see, love is not that warm, fuzzy illustration that we see. Love is not always about just embracing and hugging, shaking each other's hand, or telling our wives or women in our fellowship or camps, or brothers, I love you. What does that mean? Do you not know that the Almighty Father loves us? So look through the scriptures. Search the scriptures and you will see out of his love for us, he has wiped out brothers and sisters who overstepped their bound. Consider Uzzah, struck dead out of disobedience. Consider Dathan, Abiram, and Kirah in number 16, where we see the first sinkhole open up and swallow not only them, but their household, their children, and their followers. He loved us enough to do the things to preserve his way of life, so we weren't totally oblivious of his existence, of his teachings, of his commands, of his laws, of his statutes, of his Torah. His Torah. Torah means instructions, my brothers and sisters. Make no mistake, do not be deceived by the synagogue of Satan and those who embrace their position of saying the Torah is just the 5 books of Moses. 5 books of Moses. It's text with spirit behind it. What do you think the other books are? Text with the spirit behind it. When you use your literary skills, comprehension skills, without seeking the spirit to make it alive, the interpretation will be wrong of how to grow and be disciplined, how to truly love. Come with me, Yashar'al. I want to take you now to Proverbs 8:17. Proverbs 8:17 reads, I love those who love me, and those who earnestly seek me do find me. You see, the scriptures tell us that he had blinded the unbelieving, the rebellious. The scriptures let us know when we identify these individuals. These are those who have their own agenda. These are those who are captured by strongholds of ego and erroneous teachings passed down from generation to generation. A great correction is coming, my brothers and sisters. And if we love the Almighty Father and we earnestly seek him, we will find and receive the corrections, the instructions that is necessary. Come with me to Matthew chapter 6, verse 33 to 34. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33 to 34. For it reads, my brothers and sisters, but seek first the reign of the Almighty One and his righteousness, and all these shall be added to you. Do not then worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall have its own worries. Each day has enough evil of itself. If you find yourself worrying, my brothers and sisters, the scriptures tell us don't worry. But the scriptures also tell us to pray and watch. The scriptures also tell us to walk in the fullness of the Spirit. The scripture also provides times when the Almighty Father gave instructions to execute his plans. So make no mistake, O Yashar'al, the scripture, when it say do not worry, doesn't mean be slothful and lazy. It means to be vigilant and discerning the living words of the Almighty Father, acting out of obedience and true worship. Come with me to Malachi, chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. Malachi, chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. It says, I have loved you, said Yahuah. But you ask, in what way have you loved us? Was not Esau Yaakov's brother, declares Yahuah? And I love Yaakov, But I have hated Esau and have laid waste to his mountains and his inheritance for the jackals, his inheritance for the jackals of the wilderness. When it say I love Esau, my brothers and sisters, the scriptures inform us there was two nations battling against each other. Many of us miss that meant there was a set-apart nation and a wicked nation. So when you say I hate Esau, I hated. Esau demonstrated and represented wickedness, evil, and rebellion. And Esau, just as Yaakov became Yashar'al, or some will say Israel, Esau became Edom. Believe it or not, O Yashar'al, Edom represents the word, another word for Gentiles. Other nations outside of the set-apart family of Yahuah. The set-apart family of Yahuah have sojourners, have some Gentiles that seek to worship and obey the Almighty Father, that are grafted in and made one with Hebrews under one banner, Yashar'al. Now that doesn't mean the Gentiles that come under the banner, grafted in, become a Hebrew by nationality. No. And I'm saying in terms of race, but they become Hebrews by nation. They come under the banner. Think about Revelation 7 chapter when it mentions great multitude of many nations, kindreds, and tongues. Come with me, my brothers and sisters. Come with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8. For it reads, for every matter there is an appointed time, even a time for every pursuit under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to loose, a time to keep, lose rather, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for battle and a time for peace. Understand this, my brothers and sisters. In order for us to love one another and experience life to its fullness, we must understand the importance of what I just read. Let us continue. I want to take you to Matthew chapter 6, verse 24. It says, Matthew chapter 6, verse 24, no one is able to serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You're not able to serve two almighty ones and mammon or wickedness. Do you know those of us, if we see something wrong, individuals in camps who are seduced by the phrase, let's agree to disagree, seduced by the actions of compromise, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, let's leave doctrine to the side since we all are Israelites. Verses of seduction, my brothers and sisters, believe it or not, are part of one trying to serve two masters. There must be a pursuit of what is right, what is righteous, what is set apart. Or otherwise, if we, in compromising situations in camps, knowing that there's wrong, we're trying to serve two masters. Let me continue. Come with me to Matthew. Matthew, my brothers and sisters. Chapter 22, verse 37 through 40. Chapter 22, verse 37 through 40. For it reads, and Yahusha said to him, you shall love Yahuah, your Almighty One, with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind. This is the first and great command. Now, when it's talking about heart here, my brothers and sisters, it's talking about the spirit, that inward man with all your inward being. Love Yahuah. And then when it say with all your beings, it's saying your physical body being managed by these inward man. Walking in obedience demonstrates the love. With all your mind, it's talking about the thing that is before us in our bodies, that is as a receptor to receive information from our inward man that receives it from Yahuah. You see, when it say love the Almighty Father, it is written that we must worship him in spirit and in truth. So it is the spirit of Yahuah that comes in Yahusha's name, joined with our spirit, our inward man. And we manage that brain, that man, those cognitive factors. You see, our brain, this flesh, is a receiver. Influenced by how we was raised, the school that we were in, the churches or fellowships we've been around, the people we've been around. It's been influenced in so many ways. But notice he said, love him with all your heart, your spirit, my brothers and sisters, with all your being. Now that spirit, that inward man joined with the spirit of Yahuah, manage the being, this body. And in order to do that, we bring the thoughts of set apartness to the forefront. And we capture and purge or walk away from the things that have influenced us that are not set apart. It said, this is the first and great command. The second is like, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commands hang all the Torah and the prophets. Understand. Rise up, O Yashar'al. It's time to move with all sincerity and come away from childish things. It's time to move from milk to meat. It's time to have the thirst and the hunger to participate in that endless water that Yahusha said he provides. Endless. It's so much he provides, my brothers and sisters. Have you experienced him constantly giving you things that strengthen you each day? I have. Sometimes I say I'm overwhelmed, but it's not overwhelmed. I am humbled. Do I fear the Almighty Father? Indeed. Probably need to fear him even more to receive the strength and power to be more disciplined, to demonstrate the love, demonstrate the life that he provided. Know how to deal with death, my brothers and sisters. For the time is coming when out of movement, as earthquakes and tsunamis and storms and pandemics and famine and pestilence come, it's going to bring movement, but it will bring death. And I'm not insensitive, my brothers and sisters, and I'm not trying to fearmonger you. I want you to understand the realities. I heard a guy commenting one time about the rapture. And when he was told that there's not going to be a pre-tribulation rapture, that the children of Yahuah will go through the tribulation, those who will live until be alive when Yahusha return. He said, I like the pre-trib better. So he want to grab that position. That's not going to change things. So just as people will try to give you a false sense of security that everything is going to be all right, understand this. The plan of Yahuah is going to be all right. Now, how we position ourselves, how our perceptions are shaped, How we yield to the discipline of the Almighty Father will vary from brother to brother and sister to brother. It will vary. Choose wisely. Understand. Have discussions about love and the life that we have provided by the Almighty Father. Have discussions about how we should face death in the coming days. For many of us will lose loved ones quicker than we might imagine. The surprise of death will come upon us. Some of us will die before the year is out. The realities of Yahuwah's plan. But understand this, he who seeks to gain his life will lose it. But he who loses his life, who sacrifices his life for the sake of Yahusha, will discover everlasting life. You see, my brothers and sisters, it's like while we're in these earthen vessels, while we're in this corruptible vessel, inside is an everlasting inward man joined with the Almighty Father. And in this inward vessel, my brothers and sisters, it's like basic training almost. Could be considered like boot camp, preparing us for when we transition, whether it be at resurrection time or transformation when Yahushua return. The scriptures say we will see him as he is. We will be as he is, in a likeness that we cannot imagine. So during this time, oh brothers and sisters, do not mourn and weep over the death of the long loved one. Do not be weighted down with death of a loved one. Understand that we have an appointment, and that appointment will come sooner for some than others. Come with me. Discern the meaning of death, my brothers and sisters. You see, when Yahuwah created us, we will live forever. There are those that will live forever with Yahusha as our sovereign or king, and there are those who will face everlasting damnation. But the scripture doesn't say that we cease to exist. So we must understand death. Consider Matthew 16:25-26. For whoever wishes to save his life shall lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he gains all the world and loses his own life? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his life? We must and we will understand our structure. We have this physical body, influenced by much that we've seen, by what we've seen or heard and or received from the Almighty Father through his spirit working with our spirit that is joined in fellowship with him as a result of his living word, Yahusha. Him. Come with me to John chapter 11. John chapter 11, verse 9-14 reads, Yahusha answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? Notice how he's saying 12 hours in a day. He's talking about the time of working. And there's still night, and then you have to wait for day to come. So there's a cycle. You can't just ignore night. Here he's describing the routine of when one works. But for some reason, many are still seduced and captured by the stronghold to think that the routine of work is from the beginning of night to the beginning of night the next day. Watch the release from that wicked teaching, my brothers and sisters. Watch the eyes open to the light, the righteousness. Watch the eyes open as we understand the dynamics, how it began with light, who is Yahuwah, and it ends with light, who is Yahuwah, who is the beginning and the end. So many of us forget that so readily, even in that passage in Genesis. They read where it said there was evening, there was morning, there was a day. They forget that it started with light, Yahuwah, who was light. Then evening came, then morning came, a day. comprehension skills, and erroneous practice and teachings from years and years. Are we not aware that we're in the season of correction? There's a lot of things being corrected, O Yashar'al. Pray and watch as the truth bring us to a refinement that we did not know would happen during our lifetime. He says, if anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, but he sees the light of the world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. He said this, and after that he said to them, our friend Eleazar, or some will say Lazarus, has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. You see, our perception of death, my brothers and sisters, if we use our literary skill, we think death means you cease to exist. If we listen to the scripture, the life in the scripture, we know death is asleep. Some in hell and others in the bosom of Abraham, awaiting resurrection and transformation. He goes on to say, therefore the taught one said to him, Master, if he has fallen asleep, he shall recover. But Yahusha had spoken about his death, whereas they thought that he spoke of taking a rest and sleep. So then Yahusha said to them plainly, Eleazar has died. My brothers and sisters, when we read these passages, it would be wise for us to seek to discern the true meaning of death. Let me continue. Let me be mindful of our structure. Let us be mindful of our structure. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 51 through 53 reads this, my brother, my sister. 1 Corinthians 15, 51 to 53 says, see, I speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised from incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible has to put on incorruption, and this mortal to put on immortality. See, we have immortality, but it's caged or housed in this earthen vessel. When they say put on immortality, in that transformation, we rise up as an individual as described by the scriptures. Love, life, and death, my brothers and sisters. Let us understand their dynamics. It is important for these final days. Let me continue. I want you to discern the life in these words as well. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16 through 18. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16 through 18 reads, therefore we do not lose heart, but even if our outward man is perishing, the inward man is being renewed day by day. You see, my brothers and sisters, that inward man, we must understand the dynamics. Instead of trying to protect and preserve ego, yield to correction, yield to the set apart instructions and guidance that comes from the Almighty Father's Spirit working with our spirit to bring into captivity wicked thoughts, erroneous thoughts. It says, for this slight momentary pressure is working for us a far more exceeding and everlasting weight of esteem. We are not looking on what is seen, but on what is not seen. For what is seen passes away, but what is not seen is everlasting. Discern the life in these, my brothers and sisters, and be encouraged, even as we go through the things, the times, the turbulent times ahead. Yashar'al, do you love me? Do you think I love you? Have we gotten to know one another? Do we believe that we are indeed brothers and sisters? Do we know how to yield to the love that the Almighty Father has for us and demonstrate that to one another? Those answers will emerge in the days ahead. Come with me. Let's consider the beauty and unity, my brothers and sisters. Psalms 133, 1-3 says, "See how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity, like the precious oil on the head, running down on the beard of Aharon, running down on the collar of his robes, like the dew of Hermon that comes down on the mountains of Sion. For there Yahuah commanded the blessings, life forever." How many of you have ever heard someone say, there's a lot of work involved to bring unity? How many have heard a teacher say, this beauty and unity is a result of the discipline of the Almighty Father, is a result of the obedient ones, and the work in which we do out of obedience and set apartness. This brings about proof that the Almighty Father loves us and will discipline us. Be mindful of Revelation 3:19, where it says he loved those whom he loved, he disciplined. He disciplined those whom he loved. Pleasant, letting us know that the Almighty Father's plan will succeed and be beautiful. Come with me as we gradually come to an end of this segment. People are and will die, my brothers and sisters. We must know that. It's not to bring fear-mongering. We must understand the dynamics of death. We must understand what it is we're to do. And we must instruct our loved ones to not fret. For some of us will die sooner than we anticipate. We must identify true expectations and begin to discover set-apart guidance until such time come. It would be wise to discover how to manage our emotions, for severe times are ahead, and the need to focus is critical. I read this passage often, and I am compelled to read it again as I bring this segment to a close. And for those of you who have listened to us all the way to the end, I salute your patience, your tolerance, and your pursuit of set-apart instructions, guidance. Proverbs 4:21-27 says, "My son, listen to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings." Do you know, in order to do that, his words will come through us one towards another as well as directly. So many people are alone in their silos because they don't believe they can discern the voice of the Spirit of Yahuah that comes in Yahusha's name speaking through another. So many are seduced by erroneous pastors, community heads, deacons, bishops, and teachers. Not all of them. Some of them are. We must incline our ear to be receptive when we see the Spirit of Yahuah working directly to us, through us, or through another towards us. It says, let his words not depart from your eyes. Guard them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing to all their flesh. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the sources of life. Turn away from you a crooked mouth, and put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look forward, and your eyelids look straight before you. Consider the path of your feet, and all your ways are established. Do not turn to the right or left. Turn your foot away from evil. You see, there are those that will say, as long as you go right, you can't lose. There are those that will say, always go left. And then you have the politicals, where the world governments talk about the right and the left. Here, the Almighty Father knew this would happen. He said, don't be worried about left or right. Focus on coming away from evil. So there will be times you will go left. There will be times you'll go right. But more than anything, you focus forward on where he's taking you, and you will find that he's taking you, me, us, forward, closer to him, closer to fulfilling the duties and assignments that he has for us. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, love, life, and death. Have discussion. Discuss what love is. Discuss the dynamics of love. From the embrace, to the comfort, to the killing, to the removal, to the purging or the coming away from the things that fight against us. Us as we are obedient, that fights against the set apart ways of the Almighty Father. Life abundantly awaits us as we awaken, my brothers and sisters, as we begin to walk in maturity, as we begin to discern the life before us, made possible by Yahusha HaMashiach. We will better understand death, and we will not be subdued or weighted down by the elements of death. Yashar'al, oh Yashar'al, there's so much work to be done. I end as I end often, asking the question, are you my brother? Are you my sister? Why don't we communicate? I tell you one thing, the Almighty Father will present those answers to those whom he select. Answers are coming. Stay tuned, O Yashar'al. Details and processes will become clearer. They will become clear to the discerning in obedience, to the rebellious, not so much. I invite you to visit my website. Discover ways to get connected and involved, O Yashar'al. Discover ways to vet and examine and identify those who truly desire to seek to obey the living instructions from the Almighty Father Yahuah that comes in Yahusha's name, Yahusha, his word. On that note, I say to you, O Yashar'al, be encouraged. The Almighty Father is not slack concerning his promises to his children. Be encouraged and identify and confirm and reaffirm the presence of he who is the Almighty One. On that note, I say to you, Shalom, much shalom, my brother, my sister, my family. Shalom.